Hello, everyone, and welcome to a brand new episode of Internet Friends, the show where we explore Seth's religious trauma through video games.
Mm-hmm. Oh, well, and many other places and things.
Yeah.
This really is just a show about my trauma. We talked about it last episode.
I was meaning to ask you guys, do we want to rebrand the show of Seth's Trauma with Aaron and Brie?
I love the title, but I don't know. I don't know how good it'll be in search engines.
I don't know. Religious trauma is pretty big in the news these days.
It's true.
What do you have on TikTok? Do you have a lot?
I can pull up some videos.
Oh, absolutely. So anyway, my parents did A, B, and C to me. Here's the stuff Aaron sends me on TikTok specifically directed at me.
That one religious trauma video you sent me this week, 3 other people sent me that same video.
Amazing.
I thought that was good.
The only reason I sent it to you is because we had the conversation on the last podcast about you being the one with religious trauma because me and Brie didn't grow up religious.
Oh, it's come up in like 4 out of the 8 episodes so far.
Yeah, I know. And then, of course, you have us play a video game that is specifically filled with religious trauma. We'll get to that in a little bit.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Oh, yeah. So anyways, how's everybody been? What have you guys been up to? Brie, I know you had some time off and got to see your significant other who is Canadian and totally real.
Correct. Yes, real and exists in the real world. Yeah, he was here actually, and he was here for 4 days, and I like jam-packed our schedule, which was very stupid of me. I was like, he's gonna be bored. I have to entertain him. Here's all these things. So we did way too many things. Like he got a tattoo. We did a paint and sip. We went on a double date. Like way too much stuff, and I am still exhausted because it turns out when you're on vacation, the rest of your life doesn't pause, keeps happening, in fact. So I just came full force into my my work week, and it's been so exhausting, and I would like a nap, please. So that's
nothing's worse than coming back from your vacation and having to catch up on work. So it's just like, hey, everything you didn't do last week, you now have to do this week, plus the stuff you needed to do this week.
Yep.
Also, I feel that anxiety too, because I got a call from my mom, and she was asking me, is like, hey, how would you feel about your nephew coming to stay with you a couple of weeks this summer? And like, I'm just like, okay, how do I entertain an 11-year-old for 2 weeks?
Oh my God.
I literally had to text my wife and my in-laws and just being like, hey, we need to have a conversation and game plan if that's the thing that's gonna happen, because I've never
there might be a kid coming soon, and it's a lot older than you're expecting based off of that sentence.
Well, yeah, but my anxiety is just like, I've never had to take care of an adult child. Well, as an adult, I've never had to take care of a child in my life. So like, this would be like my
hard, especially that age.
Well, we all know what happened to Ava.
It's true. Hey, Sabrina turned out okay.
Classic jokes that nobody's gonna understand.
Yeah, this is way too inside baseball, inside jokes. That was for us, audience. It's not all for you. Sometimes it's for us.
Anyway,
all
so
4 of you that listen to this.
Or like the 400 people who look at the shorts of...
Yeah.
We love you.
We appreciate that. We appreciate all the support. Anyways, what have you been up to, Seth?
Not a whole lot. I had to pick up my mom from the airport, so I had to drive all the way out to the weird Illuminati base that is Denver International Airport.
I need to get you and Emily in on a conversation on that. But Emily is obsessed with the Denver airport. Don't they have a bunch of like advertising and signage now that like leans into like all the stuff now?
Yeah, they really lean into it now. But there is still a bunch of stuff from before the lean in that is like, no, that's the real weird, creepy stuff.
Yeah.
Like the murals that people have seen, the horse. Nothing real exciting happened on the drive out to the airport. Took me an hour to get out there, but I saw the horse.
To be honest,
it's not good, is it? Wait, okay.
I know what you're gonna say. I know you're gonna say O'Hare is the worst. I fucking hear you.
I have never gone to O'Hare where I didn't have to immediately start running. Like the second you touch down there, you're racing to another gate.
I'm actually Mrs. O'Hare, so how do
So yeah, I was about to say, every time I've ever had a transfer in O'Hare, basically they've delayed our flights like 3 times trying to get into O'Hare, and then they're just like, screw it, we're canceling the flight to O'Hare. Who's willing to go in through Dulles instead?
Yeah, I will say, in defense, O'Hare is fine if that's where you are flying into.
Oh,
that
yeah.
being said, I fly out of Midway almost exclusively.
Yeah,
so-
if it's your transfer
Midway
station,
Island, where
you're
all the war
screwed.
happened?
No, it's the other Chicago airport.
Oh, okay. All right. That makes more
It's the
sense.
smaller
Yeah.
one.
Now that you're saying that, that makes
Southwest flies
sense.
out of that, so.
Yeah. It's
I'm
like
just
how
proud of myself for getting a World War II reference in here.
I mean, at
Perfect.
least she has better names. I have Reagan and Dulles.
Oh.
I got DIA and I think there's another one. I don't know. I think there's one up in Aspen somewhere.
Yeah. No, I've had a very busy week. I actually was doing shoots for my actual job for once. You know, finally actually giving me stuff to do. It was, you know, corporate shoots, so not super fun. And both days ended with me having to shoot at a sewage treatment plant. Both times.
Fine.
So,
Oh,
great way to end the day. Not nearly as fun as shooting cosplay and Suicide Girls, but you know, those don't pay the bills.
but smells just the same. Edit that joke out. Take that one out. I want
No,
that stricken from the record.
No, that one stays in.
It's your punishment stuff.
I realized it as I was saying it. I was like, no.
No, you were too quick with it. There's no way I can make that look natural in the edit.
Oh, man.
I do miss doing cosplay and modeling stuff, but like, yeah, especially since I've moved out to Northern Virginia, like that stuff does not fly. I think mostly just because when I was in Albuquerque, it was more of like a bohemian, like everybody's just kind of like just doing it for the fun of it. I get out here and it's just like mostly just sex workers who are just, you know, trying to make a buck.
Us too, Aaron.
Yeah, they're not paying me to do it. They want me to pay them to do it though.
That's weird.
which is why I don't do it.
I exclusively work off of experience when it comes to sex work. Personally.
Yeah, well, you know, if you ask me to
Cut
shoot
that
you
one
naked-
too. That one needs to be cut out too. That just wasn't funny.
Welcome to the episode where we're cutting Seth's jokes, or at least I'm saying I'm cutting Seth's jokes. Whether or not I leave them in is
He's
up to
gonna
me
have no
because
audio this whole podcast.
Yeah. It's just gonna be me miming the whole time in the video.
like if it looks like Seth's talking, his mic's just not working well. You know,
Yeah,
it's just how
weird tech
how it
glitch.
is. Anyways, yeah, we're filming on a Friday this week just because you know we're millennials and don't have time over the weekend sometimes.
Nope.
Yeah, I'm house sitting for my in-laws this weekend. Brie has her own shit. Seth obviously has his own shit. So you know, doing it a little bit early.
It works. I appreciate the shift.
I thought about maybe having a drink with tonight's because we're recording later than usual, and then I remembered the fiasco that was the weed episode, and I was like, nah, maybe not.
Well, I just got a weed pen from my in-law, so you know.
Oh, hey! You got the Benjamin.
Yeah.
I have water, so
I have Dr. Pepper and peanut butter M&Ms, which I have been told not to eat because of the audio.
I also do have my post-work beer because it is a necessity.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways. So yeah, glad to see that you guys are all hanging in there. We're all burnt out millennials.
technically, yeah, technically we're still here. Yes.
Yes, we are. Despite my best efforts.
just in body, maybe not in spirit or otherwise.
Speaking of
Physically, I
body
am
and
here.
spirit, this week's homework assignment. Seth
Yes.
has recommended that we play Bioshock Infinite. And so, Seth, I'm going to go ahead and let you take it away.
I took notes because this is a complicated ass plot.
No
let's
shit.
start off here. Okay. Exterior, day, swimming pool. The pool boy stands with his. These are the wrong notes. You know what? It's gonna take
Or
me
the
to
right
find
notes,
these.
depending on the parody.
No, I want to hear more about that.
I was about to
actually.
say,
Let's
I need you to. As a matter of fact, I
That
need
went
you to
better
send
than
me
I
the
thought it would.
script.
No, actually, Aaron, since you've never played this game before, I was wondering, what do you think the plot was?
Oof. So, Yeah, I streamed the whole thing, so you can actually all watch my playthrough on youtube.com/TCK Media Productions, actually, believe it or
I
not.
watched a little bit of it.
Yeah, and there's a reason I never got into the Bioshock games, and the main reason is literally, like, my version of neurodivergency is just, like, if you give me way too much stimuli, like, I'm just going to get overwhelmed and not have any clue what I'm doing. And that's basically what the plot of this game is just overstimulate the hell out of you. You cannot keep track of what's going on. So,
That's fair. They do throw a lot at you. I've got the kind of broken brain where that works for me. That is meditation for me. That chills
and
me out.
I think it would actually be interesting if Emily were to play this game, because that actually works more for her, because she's the one who's just like, I need to go through every single little thing in my head and like connect all the dots. I'm task oriented. I have to like just have one thing at a time to focus on, and if you try to pull me away from the thing I'm focusing on, I'm just like frazzled and don't know what I'm doing. And this game definitely is pulling you in so many different directions at one time, while also still trying to keep you on rails, which is kind of
Points of the game.
yeah. And so that's one of the things. So basically, so the plot starts out is you're playing as a character of Booker DeWitt, and you know they don't give you really any context of who you are and what your motivations are from the jump. You're just kind of being thrown into a situation. So it introduces you into Columbia, which is the city in the sky that was built as sort of a safe haven for people of a certain political affiliation, which we'll get into, I'm sure.
No, I didn't think that actually played that big a role in the game at all, and I thought we just like breezed right past it.
Oh, really? Because I guess it doesn't matter. I feel we're looking too far into it. You know,
we all threw the baseball at the couple, right? We. I broke Brie with that one.
I gotta go.
And Brie quits.
Hello, police. Oh, they're not gonna do anything either.
But no, so yeah, so
right? No, they'll help.
Yeah.
so like you go into this world. They have this entire kind of you walking through a pew of this entire thing, and basically in order to pass through, you have to volunteer for a baptism in order to like progress through, and you agree to the baptism like just out of like fine, sure, whatever, just go through it, and not understanding any consequences or what that means. And then you're in the tutorial.
Sorry, keep interrupting, but when the game launched, I remember there were a lot of people like, I will not be baptized for the sake of this game to play it, and they stopped playing within the first like 10 minutes.
Like, okay.
It's actually funny because there's a few games of this era that like have that element of like, if you just don't do anything, like the story might do something. I think Far Cry 3 did something similar. Like at the beginning of the game, if you actually like sit and stay and wait, the game just ends.
But you die of consumption.
No, you literally just the game literally just like skips like the entire like narrative that like would be if you got up and left, and just like the guy comes back, it's like, okay, here, let's go to your mom's grave, game over, like you get to go home. Like
it's the embodiment of that meme that's like, it's Star Wars if Obi-Wan was honest in the first 10 minutes, and it's just like, movie over.
But like that's kind of the interesting thing that this game does, because the game presents you with choices throughout, but the choices literally mean nothing.
Right.
But that's part of the story.
Yeah, it is. And like that's kind of specifically what they're trying to do, because a lot of games in this era and this ilk were like trying to be like, oh, branching paths, do different things, make your own story. It's just like, but this game specifically makes it to where it's just like, yeah, we give you the illusion that you're making a choice and that these choices mean something, but at the end of the day, you're still going to end up at the same spot, no matter what you do. So yeah, we have that, and then you get introduced to Columbia, which is,
it's a flying city full of fascists and racists.
Yeah. It's of the like early 20th century, like literally turn of the century. So like, a lot of kind of stuff. It gets presented as this whole utopian space, and then as you kind of go through the tutorial and start seeing stuff, you start like picking up on the like, fascist propaganda
people around here
and racism, and like, hey, like, most utopias are built on top of a dystopian hellscape.
And also mean dystopia is a thing that I have been told a lot in my life.
Yeah. I mean, it's a common thing in like narratives is like whenever you have like a dystopian society, there has to be, whenever there's a utopian kind of like promised land thing, there has to be a dystopian underbelly. Like we saw this with Arcane, right? That we watched last time, where it's just like you have the upper city and like you have like the political and social elites, and then you have the undercity who are just like just slumming it down there. So yeah,
you've got this utopia for certain people, and then everyone else is imprisoned in open air camps. You know, it's the exact same thing as Bioshock. Yeah, you can cut that. You can cut that too. Rule of threes. I got it in. We're done now.
Seth cannot cut any more content for the rest of his life.
Nope.
So yeah, and
sorry, I keep interrupting.
No, you're good. And then again, you go through the tutorial, you kind of explore the basic mechanics of the game, and then again, talking about how you're introduced to the idea of choice in the game, and then you get like your first thing is just like where you choose like, do you throw the baseball at the couple or do you throw the baseball at the guy? And you know, I think there's an obvious decision there if you're Seth.
Hey, it's internalized from my religious youth, okay? I'm working on it.
Which is why
my therapist says I'm making...
Which is why we agreed to do this, because Brie is your therapist.
Yes, that's right.
And then it kind of just blows open this whole game, and then you start getting into a lot of different things. There's like quantum physics, space-time probability stuff that gets brought into multiple realities. Bunch of stuff, bunch of narrative stuff. I'm like I said, for me, like it got overwhelming at various points because like just like I'm trying to like constantly make sure I'm keeping track of everything that's going on, and I'm getting dragged in so many different directions.
Did you beat the game?
Yeah, I beat it.
Okay, awesome. I did not get that far.
No, you didn't? How many times have you played it?
I've only played it once, like when it first came out.
Okay.
And it was interesting playing it again because part of my enjoyability factor of this is that I am substantially older and I am a very different person now. Something that I experienced
You're
in this
not
game a
racist
lot.
anymore.
I mean, that's what a factor. Yeah,
She's no longer hanging out with the skinheads of her area.
Right, exactly. No, that this game made me very nauseous. So it made me very nauseated. Because and again, I was playing it on PS4 because the camera moves independently of the character, and it just like fucking whips around. In certain scenes, it was making me sick. And to your point, Aaron, where there was like just so much going on in the screen, like I was getting a little motion sick. I was like, there is so much happening all the time. Yeah. And I actually was almost going to tap out of this because I was very bored in like the first like hour or two because the gameplay is so fucking repetitive. Like it is so much. Here's a guard, shoot them. Here's a guard, shoot them. Also, like it's a tutorial basically the first like hour or so. But I was like, I've been doing this for a long time, and I will say the note on that is that I don't believe there is quick saving in this game. And
no, I ran into that problem when I crashed at one point because I was playing on PC, and literally it took me like all the way back to the beginning of a chapter from where like I left off when the crash happened. I was just like, do I really have to play this whole thing again?
Yes, it's only auto-saving, and I believe, like, because I looked this up, the intervals of auto-saving, like, in a typical game are about, like, every 45 minutes to an hour, depending on, like, how much you're, like, running and gunning through it, so that doesn't work great for me. I think I've been very spoiled by, like, Baldur's Gate, where I was like, quick save, quick, like, constantly saving, and then I could
F5.
Yes, exactly, and then I could, like, play for 20 minutes and then give up immediately. Like, Bioshock Infinite, I lost so much progress because I was like, I'm really fucking tired, I really need to go to bed, and I can't play for another hour, so...
Yeah, I will say, like, the gameplay, like, loop of this is very indicative of the time, because this is, like, end of 360 and PS3 era, I believe is when this came out.
The
like 13 years
came
ago.
Out.
Yeah. So, like, you know, it is, like, you know, long stretch of, like, walking and narrative. You're looking at all the propaganda and stuff. You're trying to, like, gather up materials and whatnot. Elizabeth, there's a lot of exposition that happens, and then you just have a period of combat that isn't laid out super well. It's mostly just bullet sponges. You're just basically shoot guys, use your powers and that stuff, and then like move on to the next section.
Yes.
And this game, like, at least is a little bit better about the kind of everything, but like it is so on rails. And I used to always think that like I hate open world games because like there's too much stuff to do and like you get sidetracked and everything. But now I'm realizing it's like, wow, having something this on rails is equally annoying.
On railsness of it. I like being handed a story and being told experience it, right? But I do agree, the literal rails that you're hanging from in the game, I can see how you would have gotten motion sickness from that. And it also ruins a lot of the arenas. Because there were several places where it's like there's only 1 or 2 enemies left and they're on the opposite side of the map. And I've got to hop on the thing, go around while their AI is putting them on the thing. And we're just not finding each other.
That happened a lot where like I could hear them and I was like, where the fuck are these guys? And like, because like I think Aaron, you mentioned this a little bit, but because the levels are like up in the air, which is a very cool aesthetic, sometimes directionally I had a hard time telling where the fuck I was supposed to go. And actually I did find out a couple times because I did break the game a few times. Sometimes it'll let you go on the rails when you're not supposed to go on the rails and in spots you're not supposed to go in. I got trapped a couple times like around the train cars. You can get to certain spots where you can't get off anymore. And I'm like, okay, that was another one. I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm losing progress today. I'm frustrated. I'm going to bed. So I'll try this again tomorrow.
I will say that because I don't think this game has gotten any meaningful updates, like there hasn't been like a re-release or a remake or anything like that since like this is literally the game that came out. There might have been some patches over time, but it's
there
the same.
Was a collector's edition that came out for PS4 like 3 years after it originally released.
Yeah, but like that's still like a decade old at this point.
It's true.
I will say, despite like there are definitely those quality of life aspects, games from this era actually hold up pretty okay.
Yeah.
And gameplay wise, because I mentioned last time when I was trying to play like classic Star Wars games, the quality of life on some of those games is just like they're almost unplayable now. Just because how they are. This one, like at least, is still playable.
Yeah. And depending on how far back you go with games, they're still expecting you to have had the manual with you when you bought it. Yeah. So, like, you throw in a game, they don't give you any tutorial, they don't give you any direction, it's just go. And that can be really frustrating when you go and visit a game from 15 years ago. And you're like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah. I will say it is kind of, again, going back to, like, kind of being annoyed by the on rails thing, it's just, like, if I get, like, sidetracked by, like, something, I'm just like, wait, where am I supposed to be going? And then you just use, like, the whatever function. I don't know what it was in controller. I was playing on PC, so it's N on PC, and it's just like, oh, this is where you go. And like I just end up spamming that a whole bunch. So it's just like, okay, what am I supposed to be doing? Oh, that.
It would get really frustrating when you get into a room and you're like, okay, where do I go? You press that button and then the arrow just doesn't show up. The sound effect plays for it. You get the little whoosh, and you look at the ground and there's nothing. You're like, wait.
Yeah, no, I had that happen a couple of times.
Is this where I'm supposed to be? Is there a button? Is there...
No, like it definitely is a product of its time in terms of gameplay. I feel like there's been a lot of advances in like narrative storytelling in games since then, and like how like you progress through that. But like again, when you try going back to that stuff, it's just like, you know, back then this was really, really good. Today,
It's up okay. I will say, I'm like, I think I do like, and I think this is just a Bioshock thing in general, that like it sets the tone and like the aesthetic immediately.
Oh,
like,
yeah, no.
Like, you're in this world, which is like super cool. Like they really don't like, and I think you could really do like the little Vox things. Like you can really get a lot more of the story if you choose to. And then it gives you a good chunk of it outside of that anyways. But the other small thing I wanted to note is that I forgot how violent this game was.
It's very violent.
It is. Yeah. I hate doing melee in this game because it is like, I don't know if you did a lot of melee in this game, but that is when you like gut people, their brains are everywhere. I'm just like, it is so fucking disgusting. I was like, oh, I hate this. Good to know. But it was enjoyed it. I'm going to play it again when we're done with this, probably. Like, especially once Elizabeth is on the scene, it gets substantially better. So just Booker kind of running around was just a little boring to me because of the repetitiveness of the gameplay. But once she comes onto the scene, I'm like, oh, this is actually really fun. I remember why I like this game.
Well, that's kind of like Brie. Have you beaten this game previously? Like,
yes.
You've gone through. Okay, so just want to make sure we're all aware of the actual narrative. Yes. It's really interesting how like Booker at the beginning is presented as like your typical blank slate protagonist. Like, you don't really know much about him. You can pretty much self-insert for the most part. But then when you get into the later part of the game, it's just like suddenly everything about Booker previously is super important to know. I was just like, and like you just basically just get a whole lore dump like right at the end of the game. Mm-hmm. Which, by the way they dragged out the third act of this game is insane.
You felt that it was dragged out? I thought it was rushed.
I felt it was dragged out. Once you get to a certain point where like they start doing the Lady Comstock thing, and then you do like all the stuff, and a lot of this is also
you're counting that as the last third. I count Lady Comstock as like the midway. Oh, you mean the ghost Lady Comstock?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were talking about her introduction. Yeah. No, I feel that like, because for me, when I got to that part, I felt like that entire Vox Populi section of the game had just been run through. Mm-hmm. And that I didn't really have time to get to know anybody there.
Yeah, that's fair. I feel like the Vox Populi kind of just gets introduced to you, and then instantly they do the heel turn on them. You never get an attachment to any of them, and so like you having conflict with them doesn't carry as much weight as it should, especially since like at the point where basically Elizabeth shifts reality, and then like, you know, they're in the middle of a revolution and everything. It's just like, oh, Booker DeWitt, leader of the revolution. And it's just like, well, fucking all I've done is shoot people. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Yeah. I don't know what's going on here. Can we also talk about for a sec how they really same side that whole revolution, don't they?
Yeah.
Because you get to the part, like, the good guys, the rebels, get their guns, and then they just go on a killing spree and murder everyone. And it's supposed to be like, well, you know, violence begets violence. And I'm like, but they're killing racists. They're killing Nazis. That's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
They're doing the good thing. I'm on their side. Why are you telling me I'm wrong right now?
This isn't morally gray, really.
Yeah, they're doing the whole, you know, meet the new boss, same as the old boss type, you know, trope of just because, again, playing both sides, a product of the time, but very much that, like, you know, yeah, as far as I'm concerned, like, I'm completely sympathetic to Vox Populi in terms of where they're going, but they try to make it seem like it's just like, oh no, they're just as violent and cruel as everyone else. It's like,
yeah. Sorry, Bree, your cat jumped up, and out of the corner of my eye, because I was looking at Aaron, I just saw the little tail movement, and I thought my entire screen was like shifting, and I was like, I'm having a psychological break right now, and then it was a cat.
Not
I mean, it's all fun and games until you start thumbs upping randomly on screen.
Yeah, what? That never happened again, did it?
No.
Weird.
It's my NSA agent.
Yeah, probably. Anyways. So, but yeah, no, no, I definitely feel like the second act, which is what I consider to be that specific, like, you know, timeline divergence specifically they did with the revolution side. It's just like, yeah, that one definitely felt like they didn't flesh out enough. But then, like, once you cleared that part and you start getting kind of like toward the end game of like heading toward Comstock and like kind of feeling like you're building up to the end, that felt dragged out.
Maybe for me it's because this is like my third or fourth time playing through the game. So I knew where to go. I knew everything I needed to do. And for me, Lady Comstock, Songbird, and the very end of the game, just that flew by for me. I was just like, oh, and it's over now. But that is probably because I played the game so much more.
Right. No, this was my first experience. I already knew the ending because it got spoiled for me a long time ago. So, like, I knew...
Maybe like 10 years ago, approximately.
Yeah. It was one of those things where it's just like, if I don't think I'm going to have time to actually play or watch a thing, I don't mind seeing spoilers for it. Like, that's how I treated Game of Thrones, where it's just kind of like, if I see a Game of Thrones thing pop up on my feed, I'm just like, okay, yeah, whatever. Like, I could probably give you a person who's never watched Game of Thrones synopsis of Game of Thrones, and then you guys can, grade me on the accuracy.
That might be a fun future topic, is we each pick something that we haven't seen, but the other two have, and we have to describe like what we think it is.
I would love to give you guys an explanation of Game of Thrones of somebody who's never watched the show or read the books.
I've never seen Endgame. I can probably tell you that whole movie's plot and everything.
Probably.
Word for word.
Yeah, that would actually be kind of fun. But no. But yeah, so I guess kind of speaking toward the end, since I talked about the ending already kind of being spoiled for me, it seems really, I don't want to say ham-fisted, but it just seems like kind of like a really like, this was not remotely on my radar of like what my questions were about the game and the narrative, and just kind of got thrown in there.
Yeah,
like,
I noticed that this time.
Yeah, I know that. I know you had the twins, and they're like doing like the quantum physics probabilities, like multiple reality stuff going on. But in
they're
terms
my favorite
of like
part of the game, actually. I love the twins, and they're not twins.
They're not twins, but they're brother and sister, I guess.
No. They're the same person from alternate realities where one's male and one's female.
Fucking nerd.
Yeah.
But no, it's like the whole thing is just like where they get to like Comstock and Booker being the same person's kind of stuff. It's just like when did this matter in the narrative?
That's something I noticed playing it this time too, was that they don't set that up really.
No. It's just kind of thrown in there. Like, it doesn't really become relevant until the moment you kill Comstock.
Yeah.
And then suddenly they basically start building that up.
It wasn't a popular twist at the time, I don't think, either. Like, I think it was a pretty controversial ending when this game came out, if I'm not mistaken. Like, I remember...
I think so.
I feel like I remember liking it, but, like, I think again, just hindsight, I'm just like, I don't know. Sometimes people... this is more common, I think, in like the last couple of years, where it's just like, just because it was unexpected doesn't mean it's a good twist. So,
yeah, it has that tinfoil hat sort of like aspect to it. It's just like, you just don't get it, man. You don't understand. It's like, yeah,
no,
I mean,
get it.
Maybe I don't understand, but at the same time, like that, just because I don't understand it doesn't necessarily mean it's good.
Sure. Also valid.
Yeah. Also, boy, we've been talking about multiverses for a real long time, haven't we?
I think that's my annoyance with it, because like I'm, as comic book people, and I even said this when like MCU and stuff were started exploring I said like years ago, it's like as soon as MCU starts doing multiverse shit, I'm out. And sure enough,
here we
started doing multiverse shit. I'm out.
But it's just weird how long, because it did go from like kind of a niche sci-fi topic to about a decade ago everywhere. Rick and Morty started right around this time.
Yeah.
I had another example. Stargate. Fucking love Stargate. Is that an alternate reality? I don't know, but I thought of it and I remembered that movie exists and I want to talk. We're doing Stargate for my next homework assignment.
Only if I get to watch SG-1 again.
I was talking the movie. I've never seen.
Oh no, I've seen the movie. No, the movie and SG-1. I tried watching SG-1 like maybe 3 years ago with Emily. Couldn't get her past the first season.
No,
I tried so hard. In fairness, like going back and watching it is just like, yeah, this is probably a very rough show to try to get somebody into fresh.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, you're right, Seth, because like, multiverse stuff started becoming popular, and I think the reason multiverse stuff became popular is because basically it was right in the middle of that like fandom, Reddit, Tumblr era, alternate universe, fan fiction kind of thing, to where basically anything you wrote could be possible. Anything you can come up with, like this fan fiction that you wrote just for the hell of it could be canon one day, just because like, we leave the door open for that.
Oh, these two shows are on the same network? Multiple universe.
Yep. And so I think that's kind of like where a lot of that comes from. And I remember probably around the pandemic when MCU Endgame ended and Marvel started doing more multiverse type stuff. A lot of people were really hyped for multiverse stuff. Like, they could do all these things. They could do this. They could do that. It's just like, you guys just made it to where basically anything goes because you've ran out of ideas.
Death doesn't matter because you can just pull a different version over.
Yep.
See, we don't need stakes. That's not interesting.
You
Thank
you need somebody did something incredibly problematic. That's fine. We can recast them and just say it's an alternate version of them.
Yep.
Just give ourselves.
Boy, they really shot themselves in the foot with Kang, didn't they?
Yeah. Hindsight's 20/20, buddy. It's like the year everything went south.
I think started going south a lot earlier than 2020 for me. Old Seth's been having a hard time for a minute, but
yeah.
I'm gonna be attaching a bindle to a stick full of all of my belongings later today, and go walking down to the train
People
track.
do that in real life for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember being a kid and trying to make a bindle and stick. It's so hard.
It's impossible. I was like, how did they do it?
I also tarred and feathered cars when I was a kid. So I grew up in the 1920s. So, but yeah.
Amazing. You look
And
great.
then it wasn't. And then it was an awkward
I
day
have
at
Benjamin
church.
Button's disease. Would you believe that's the third time in my life I've made that joke?
I love that for you.
Thank you. Rule of threes, though. I got to retire it now. It's done.
Yeah.
I'll never be able to make Benjamin Button's disease ever again.
Hope you enjoyed it.
Oh, but I will never stop 9/11. I will not stop making jokes about it, nor will I go back in time and stop the event from happening.
I was about to say, didn't I send you a 9/11 joke today?
You did.
Thank God.
Did you read the comments? Okay, so Brie.
Oh, I did read
Aaron,
the comment. No, I did. I read the comments before I sent it to you.
It's so good. There's Aaron sent me a Lego reconstruction of the Twin Towers that's like 8 feet tall, and all of the comments are people saying that they're gonna buy the Lego plane set to go with it.
See, mine was the one that like I had was specifically was just like I was waiting for the planes. But like
It's a day that changed all of our lives forever. We're allowed to joke about it.
it's just the fact that you had like literally a model of the Twin Towers literally sitting in the middle of a convention center, and it's like huge and giant. It's just like how is like nobody just like throwing like a model plane or a Lego plane straight into that?
Or just a fucking bottle of water. Like, just do it for the meme.
And like it's one of those things where it's just like there were several people who I knew I couldn't send it to because they do not have the dark humor that I have, but I was just like, Seth, absolutely.
Fun fact, I've already written my 9/11 joke for this year. I've got the video all ready to go. We're in May.
It's already pre-shot and everything.
Yep.
Hey, that's good planning.
I'm
That's
doing
good
better
planning.
than last year. Last year, I didn't get it done until July. I do 2 yearly videos. For people who don't know, I do a 9/11 video and I do a Pride Month video. And I'm trying to get into a Halloween video as well. Those
Very
would be my
fair.
3.
Very fair.
I love that.
Anyways.
This is a bad time to say that I don't like 9/11 jokes.
Which is why I
fine.
didn't send you the video, Brie.
It's mine and my partner's anniversary, unfortunately. So
Oh, really?
yeah, I tell
So-
everybody it's the 12th, but it's the 11th.
So, Seth, now we have to scrap the video. We have to work in Brie's anniversary into the 9/11 video.
Yeehaw.
Bree's anniversary, a Steve Buscemi cameo. Man, we got to fit a lot into this thing.
It's just like, well, you know, it's just like as long as it stays in budget.
Which is $0.
I'm gonna say we have no budget, so we're clear.
I went completely off topic. I went probably about 6 months or so ago when I started doing a lot more skits on TikTok, and I bought props and I like invested money into this stupid thing. I got like a brain, a heart. I've had one video with the brain make it through community guidelines. I got fake blood. I got guns. None of it's allowed on TikTok. Every time I use these props I spent money on, the video gets pulled immediately.
Yeah.
Oh no.
No, that's definitely the hardest thing about making any kind of content anywhere is the community guidelines and like the stuff that TikTok's actually like probably actually one of the most strict platforms.
They are.
Because
It's
like
very hard to.
'cause,
Like
like,
I said, Sorry,
Like,
I said, I was
YouTube will
doing
let you
sketch
do it.
comedy. I'm just gonna keep running. I'm gonna keep going.
It's okay.
I started doing sketch comedy, and which I love sketch comedy, but it became very discouraging to do it because every video I would put up, like 4 out of 5 would be immediately pulled for some kind of community guidelines violation because I referenced cartoon violence. Because
there's a ton though. You can't even. I realize that you can't say link in bio anymore. Those get suppressed too. So there's like so many buzzwords and stuff. Like even not images and buzzwords that like you cannot say on TikTok. It's very interesting.
Yeah. No, like TikTok has this entire thing where that's where they create different lingo. Like you had for people who had OnlyFans accounts, they started calling themselves accountants because they adopted an audio that made the joke about like I just tell people I'm an accountant.
Yes.
And so accountant became short form for sex worker or somebody who had an OnlyFans, and then suddenly they start like going after people who use the accountant audio or call themselves an accountant. Yes. Link in bio, they go after that. As a matter of fact, your link in your bio is something that they will go for if they see that you have it, and then it has a link to a thing that they don't agree with on the community guidelines. Like YouTube, at least for the most part, like they'll just demonetize you. Maybe you'll have a algorithmic penalty on it, but they don't 100% take you down. They just make it to where like you might not get seen and you might not make money off of it. 100%. But different platforms. Instagram's the one that's actually gotten like really weird of like shit that flies these days.
I've been spending more time on Instagram the past couple of weeks. It's a little like the Old West out there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They used to be the strictest one. They used to be the ones where it's just like we're shadow banning everything. We're like community guideline takedown stuff. I've had several model friends who I used to work with who've like literally had their pages completely like scrubbed.
Well, a lot of dancers too. We were having a very tough time because every fucking song would get copyright, and then our videos would be taken down. They seem to have gotten more lax on that, thankfully. But like even if you use their feature where you tagged the artist, they'd be like, "Oh, you don't own this song." I'm like, bitch, I know. I put Selena Gomez or whatever the fuck, like through your app, like through your service, I put who the artist is, and they would still take those videos down. So thankfully they've gotten a lot better about that. But I think they know because they're probably going to be maybe taking over where TikTok is if it gets banned.
Oh, fingers crossed it doesn't. Fingers crossed that app gets to stay.
Yes, God, I hope so.
I mean, I'm not
promising though, does it?
No.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not happy with any social media app really, but at the same time, it's just like they all have like weird ways that they enforce their own rules, and it's just like you want there to be a level of consistency, but there's just not across any of them at this point. Mm-hmm. So,
very true.
Oh man, that's a very weird rabbit hole to go down from Bioshock.
Yeah, we ended up not talking about religion very much.
I mean, we all got the gist of it.
Yeah, you get baptized. It's the moment that changes your life forever, and then you go on to kill a lot of people.
Yeah, just
that's
fascism.
why I've never been baptized.
Yeah, fascism, fanaticism, all that good stuff.
But you're not. You weren't raised religious.
So my parents, it's so funny because like this happens to a lot of people I know, especially so I was baptized because my parents were very scared of me going to limbo. They don't necessarily believe in the religious thing, but they're just like, we need a little assurance.
Just in case.
So we're just gonna dunk her in water real quick, and then it's just like, okay, so anything she does to fuck up is her problem.
I'm about to say Catholic too. I was baptized Catholic, and that was the last time I was in that church. So.
Just
the
so
water
much guilt.
Boiled as you entered.
Exactly. They're like, get her out of here.
all the nuns' eyes turn black.
Yes.
The statue of Jesus starts crying blood.
Oh boy. So yeah, good homework assignment. I enjoyed playing it despite some of my nitpicks. I think a lot of my nitpicks were just, again, game of its era. But I thought it was a really good game for the most part.
Still enjoyable for sure. I think it holds up where it needs to. I think so.
It's weird because a lot of the character models, I don't know what engine they made it in. Might have been Unreal, but it reminded me a lot of the characters in like Fable 2. Like
I think it was Unreal.
100%.
Yeah, I think it was Unreal from back in the day. So yeah, had a good time. So anyways, one of the fun things that happened as a result of last week's episode is we actually had some people leave comments on videos.
Hey! Interaction! I felt like I turned into Pauly Shore there for a second the way I said that, and I don't like that.
Well, yeah, we consider you the Pauly Shore of the podcast.
Oh God, no!
Well,
What have I done? What have I become?
Would you rather be the Kevin Pereira?
No, I went through 4 years of being Kevin Pereira on this podcast already. I'm not gonna do it again.
That's fair. But no, but one of the main things that we got that actually got interaction
Bree's
was
looking up
our.
Pauly Shore.
You don't want to know. But we did have some people interact with some of the things, and specifically our short that I posted about our experience with VR. And we actually upset some people.
We sure did.
That doesn't surprise me with the tech community. I called the Vision Pro ugly, and I got 20,000 views and a bunch of people screaming at me.
Yeah. I mean, but the moment that I saw that we were getting comments of people upset with us about our take on VR, most people get negative comments on social media and they're just like, oh God, who am I as a person? I was hyped. I was so happy. I was just mainline.
That's that old school content creator. That really, I think, highlights the time period that we came up making shit for the internet. Because we were at that point where when somebody came into your comment section, you would go back at them. And then it would be a flame war, right? Yeah. Has anyone used the term flame war off of a fan fiction site or even on one in 20 years? I don't think so.
It's been a while, but that is like old school YouTube things, like flame wars in the comics type thing. Yeah. But you're right. But the funny thing is our take on VR was fairly mild, in my opinion.
Yeah, we did not have
own it personally. That, I think that was the hottest take. That's I think it's fun. I don't want to own one. That was I think it was just a cold fucking take, honestly.
All of our takes were literally we tried it, we decided, this isn't worth spending my hard-earned money on. And all the comments were just I disagree with you, or there was one specifically on TikTok, was have you not even had a good headset or a good game? And it's no, because I tried it and I
can't afford rent. So.
I'm not gonna pay money for this thing that I didn't like previously, and if I'm not gonna pay money for it, I'm not gonna be able to play the games that it has. That's the point I'm trying to make. And the point that we made later in the show, which if you had watched actually the full podcast, we made the point of, is just I can't justify buying this if it's not something that I feel like I'm going to use.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And clearly the person who left that comment is somebody who is an enthusiast of VR. They like VR and they're invested in the technology actually advancing, and so they need to get other people to buy into it. Mm. It's not on us to buy into technology that we were just this doesn't like. It's on the companies making it to where we feel like we have to buy in on it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, and I can't remember the exact quote. I listened to an episode of Behind the Bastards that was, I believe it's from the episode they did on AI, but I can't remember the exact quote, but it came down to a point where some people in the tech community and things, they want to be right and they need to be the first. And because then they get to be hey, that VR thing, I totally told you. Yeah, this was it.
That's so they're mine. So.
Yeah. And so they're defending the fact, not that this is a product that exists. They're defending their own. I know I'm right. I'm smart. I'm intelligent. Because I
bought this thing and my decision was right and smart and the right thing to do. And I was just dude, I have no problem. If you like it, I don't care.
Well, see, it was for you. It's the best decision for you. I love that for you. That's awesome. I'll go to your place and play it there and then leave.
I love when people who aren't me make bad decisions.
Yeah. Tesla fanboys are my favorite on this because they are so militant. And my favorite thing is now I've actually seen Cybertrucks in the wild 3 times in the last month.
I've seen 2 in the past week. I've seen 2.
So I've seen 3 in the wild where I live, and then when I went out to Austin for my sister's wedding, from the airport to my parents' house actually goes right by the plant in Austin, and literally they have Cybertrucks all lined up. And that thing is bigger and dumber in person than it looks in photos. The photos that looks like a toy. You see it in person, it's just it's now the toy but huge and dumb. It makes like the big dumb trucks that you see that are like lifted and blowing out like, you know, smoke and everything else like that.
Yeah.
It makes those trucks actually look practical somehow.
It's a great first draft.
It makes the Ed 209 look well designed.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And like it's one of those things where it's just like, who the hell spent money on that? And like I remember I was actually driving next to one. I was just like, I need to look at who is driving this thing. And it's exactly who you would imagine be driving a Tesla.
A guy with the Apple Vision Pro and like doing this while he's going down the street.
That's more or less what he looked like. He definitely looked like somebody who was just like, I have seen Elon Musk's penis consensually.
Oh, Brie, did you see that Markiplier filter?
No.
You did not see it? Okay, Aaron, did you see it?
No.
Okay, so this filter hit TikTok a little while ago, right?
Mm.
You open it up, it's a little like Funko Pop looking unicorn that pops up, does a little clap, and some magic sparkles come out. It disappears, and out from the magic sparkles is a leaked nude of Markiplier's.
Oh no.
Why does
Dude
that
is
exist?
packing.
Oh, I'm sure he is.
I mean,
Good for him.
I mean, I didn't need to see a leaked nude to know that. I've heard his voice.
True.
I'm gonna say he's a fucking smoke show. Just look at him. Are you
I was
kidding?
about to say, like...
But like, I
I'm
mean,
the-
you see
I'm the
something
straight-
like that, and it's like God is just not. God does pick favorites, right? He
Yeah.
couldn't have even like shafted him on a dick size. No. We got to give everything to Markiplier.
Look, okay, so, like, first off, not cool to leak people's nudes, number one.
No.
100% never do that.
Consent is mandatory. Thank you.
Exactly. Number two, as the straightest person on this podcast, like, if Markiplier was just like, hey, you want to go back to my place, I'm not saying no.
No, of course not.
And Emily knows
He would
this.
be mad at you.
Exactly. It's just like it's like one of those things. Like it happens, I leave. I'm getting my cab fare and everything right afterwards. Like I'm texting you guys and Emily. It's like you guys are not gonna believe what just fucking happened. I'm pretty sure I'm not supposed to tell you because I signed an NDA. But
Tell me everything.
Oh, do you think Markiplier is one of those guys that makes people sign NDAs before they sleep together?
probably.
He's got a long-term girlfriend, so.
I didn't know that. I'm not huge on the Markiplier fan.
I was about to say, I don't think he's
I-
had like a major controversy in the time he's been, not that I can think of.
He's an
No,
unproblematic fave, I think. So.
Yeah, he's always
like-
been very good. Unless, of course, he gets canceled this week. Then I hate him, and I always have hated him.
I
And he's
mean-
got a small dick. That picture, it was a very tiny.
So
Clearly
small.
photoshopped. Clearly photoshopped. but no. As far as parasocial relationships go, it's one of those things I've always guarded myself. Of just like if I find out like somebody whose content I like turns out to be a shitty person, I'd be like, all right, well, fuck that guy.
100%. Celebrity culture, not great. I think
Yeah.
we've all learned that.
Yeah, like I don't like go like, oh my god, like there's been like a couple of times where somebody like has done something shitty and like it does feel like a death in the family, but like that's how I treat it. It's just like, well, that person's dead to me now. I'm going to grieve the death of this person and then move on. I'm not gonna sit there and defend them.
That is the right way to do it.
There's a podcast I listen to where a reoccurring bit is that every time they talk about someone who has turned out to be an awful person, they end it with going, and it's just a shame they died after making that one movie. It's a shame that Mark Hamill died after Star Wars and never got to make anything ever
So
again.
sad.
That's basically how it goes. It's just like, and it's just like, and well, you know, gone too soon.
Anyways.
No. Hi, puppy.
But yeah, so moral of the story is if you like something, you're entitled to like it, and you're entitled to advocate for it. But when people say that they weren't into it, like trying to belittle them is not necessarily the best way to go.
Yeah.
Anyways,
You're allowed to like things and people don't have to like them too. It's okay. It doesn't take anything from you. Just you could still like it. Just so you know. It's still
Yeah.
there.
speaking of things that people liking stuff and then, you know, feeling like they have to advocate for them, Xbox is killing studios.
Yeah, I
Yay.
wasn't able to follow that very much. You brought this up
Yeah, I've been
just
following
now
it actually.
and in the Google Doc. But
I've been actually following.
So.
Yeah, I've been following this actually pretty closely this week. So, I was about to say Marvel's killing studios, which I wouldn't put past them either. Xbox now has shut down a couple of their studios, including Arcane Austin, which was in responsible for creating Redfall, which was kind of considered to be a flop, and Tango Gameworks, who made Hi-Fi Rush, which was a very highly regarded critically for being a good indie title, but didn't necessarily have good sales numbers. And it's kind of indicative of the direction that Xbox is currently going with Game Pass, especially after the big Blizzard and Activision merger that happened last year, which was like subject to a lot of litigation. Basically, it sounds like Microsoft is telling Xbox is like, hey, you spent a shit ton of money the last couple of years. You need to start making money. And so it's just like, well, we're not that profitable right now. It's like, all right, start killing studios.
Yep. I wanted to, the article you linked was really, really good. So thank you for sharing that. I wanted to read this quote from it because I thought it was, you know, we're going to probably get on a late stage capitalism rant because of this. But so it's.
As we do every show.
Exactly. So it's from the article is this reprioritization of titles and resources means a few teams will be realigned to others and that some of our colleagues will be leaving us. Isn't that a nice fucking way to say, oh, we're actually just firing a ton of fucking people? And I'm just like, don't fucking sugarcoat it like that. Oh, some of our dear friends will be leaving us because you fired them. Fired them.
As somebody who got caught up in layoffs after the Warner Brothers Discovery merger, I remember the exact thing that Zaslav said in a meeting, specifically talking about. It's like, well, now we have 2 ad sales departments. We can't keep both of them.
Cool.
Okay. Great.
Yeah. So, yeah, no, anytime there's ever big mergers, you know that, like, something's coming down the pipe.
Yeah, something's getting bad.
You love that.
If both of these companies were doing well enough that they didn't need to merge, they could probably afford to pay their employees. All of the employees they have.
What are the CEOs making?
Good fucking question.
What are the profits at this year?
I could tell you if you cut their pay in half, you could probably pay your employees.
But then that line won't go up. Line need go up.
But no, there was actually kind of like a good point. And like I've listened to a couple of podcasts where they have discussed this. One person made a very kind of good point where it's just like, you know, Xbox Game Pass is an insane value for gamers because it's $15 a month and you basically get this whole catalog of games, both AAA and indie titles, and like you actually even get first access to like, you know, launch day titles, AAA titles at no extra cost. And it's just like, it's hard to tell somebody, hey, don't buy Game Pass because Xbox sucks, because they might only be able to afford that and be able to play these games. Where it's just like, it's not necessarily reasonable. It's like, hey, if you want to play this game, you should be paying the full $70 pop for every single one of them. And like they compared it to like the Walmart problem of just like, don't shop at Walmart because they're evil. It's just like, well, I can't afford anything but Walmart.
Yeah.
Like, what do you want me to do?
There's nothing else around here. I'm in a food desert. I got a Walmart and a movie theater. That's the only thing I have in my town. Yeah,
exactly. So it's like, it's one of those things where it's just like, you're stuck between a rock and a hard place because like, yeah, like first thing I did when Seth said like, oh, we're playing Bioshock Infinite, I was just like, is that on Game Pass? Because it means I don't have to pay for it, then cool. But then it's like, oh, I'm not there. It's like, okay, Steam is like, it's about $30 on Steam. It's like, all right, $30, that's fine. And so like, that's just kind of what it was. But it's just like, yeah, I can't justify getting rid of Game Pass because it has access to a bunch of games that I can play that like I don't have to pay full pop for. I mean, like Stardew Valley's on there. I might pick up Stardew Valley at some point.
And you should.
Well, and I've even thought about like, because I think all the Halo games are on there and most of the Gears of War games. So I've thought about like even picking up an old Xbox One and getting Game Pass. Just so I can go back and relive some of my old Xbox experiences. Yeah, no, and I played Master Chief Legendary Edition on Xbox One through Game Pass. I played all the old Gears of Wars on Game Pass, including having, you know, current Gears on Game Pass. Like, it's one of those things where it's just like, if I play just one AAA game a month, I've already covered my cost on playing for Game Pass at that point. Because if I'm only paying $15 a month and I'm playing games that would have cost me $70, like the value's insane.
Absolutely.
But that's their entire kind of model, right? Is like they're trying to create a monopoly. They're trying to make it to where like you have to have Game Pass. That's what their entire goal is. And Seth's playing with his mustache.
Well, this side's falling down.
You know, you got to have your villain mustache for the whole thing.
Yep.
But no, like
I'm
it's
nothing without this. I'm losing my hair. I gotta have something.
But it's like one of the reasons why they have been buying up all these studios and making sure they can get all these exclusives on Game Pass and make sure that people like, it's just like, you have to get it, because if they corner the market, then they get to control it. It's the Amazon model. It's just like, it doesn't matter if you're making a profit in the short term because you're just trying to build market share. And then once you have the majority of market share, then that's when you can jack up prices and start making a profit. And that's basically what they're trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Fun. Capitalism. It's working. Great.
Yep.
So good.
The thing, though, like we've said before, it is working. It's working exactly as it's supposed to.
Yeah, if we can ramp up the trust busting a little bit quicker and start breaking up some of these monopolies, that would be great.
Speaking of trusts, have you seen that song on TikTok that's like, I'm looking for a guy in finance, 6'5",
Yes.
trust
Yeah,
fund?
I've been getting that one too.
I got sent a meme this morning that was somebody mathematically breaking down how many men there are in America that match that exact description.
Oof.
And it was 2.
Oh,
That sounds right.
I thought you were going to talk about the Yu-Gi-Oh one.
There's a Yu-Gi-Oh one?
Well, they said that the guy they're describing is Kaiba.
Oh.
I think I have seen that one. I actually think I have seen that one.
I was like,
Like they're just doing the song, but like the person is just Kaiba. Oh, he's
Yeah,
floating
exactly.
around there. Yeah, so I have seen.
Blue Eyes White Dragon.
That's great. That's great.
Sometimes I love the internet, honestly. I was like, you know
Oh yeah.
what?
Oh, the
There
internet
are
is
still
undefeated.
times. The thing about Kaiba, though, is, all right, he's a billionaire. I've been rewatching the series over the last couple months. I have a lot to say.
Please, you have the floor.
Go on.
So Kaiba, he's an adopted billionaire who got all of his money from stealing the company from his father, chooses to then invest billions of dollars in advanced technologies for a card game? A fucking children's toy? Also, we love Kaiba. The Blue Eyes White Dragon, awesome card.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't win a single fucking duel the entire series. Yugi kicks his ass every time.
Look, I don't appreciate you attacking an autistic man like this, Seth.
I am one. I can attack my own.
This is my favorite episode.
We get 3 autistic people in a room to talk shit about a fictional autistic character and then have arguments about it.
We did it.
This Yu-Gi-Oh card has been here every single episode. It has been by my side.
Just waiting for this very moment.
It's literally his trap card, except it's a dark magician, so it's not technically a trap card.
Yeah, I have these as well.
I thought you were gonna pull out the thing like on your arm.
I had that back in the day.
I used to have it.
I used to have it too, Seth. It's not just you.
It destroyed my cards, dude. You fit them in that little slot.
Well,
all the corners
it was
get bent
trash.
up.
It was super cool to have.
Oh, it was awesome to have.
Don't get me wrong, I love that thing, but like, yeah, in terms of like your cards, like, you know, mint conditionedness, like.
And you'd be trying to stand, like, having the duel like they did on the show with the cards, and then the weight of the thing is pulling it down your arm.
Yeah, no, it was horrible.
Oh, man.
I love Yu-Gi-Oh so much.
I kind of want to watch Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged now since we brought it up a few episodes ago.
I've been getting a lot of it on TikTok recently.
Because I don't think I could, like, watch the actual anime, like, without being like, Jesus Christ, I was a stupid kid.
I still love it in that, like, nostalgic, it's silly, just put something on way.
Yeah. I mean, like, I think the problem is now, it's just like, now that I'm old enough, it's like, wow, they really did just make an anime to sell you a card game.
They did.
It's the only reason it exists.
I can go into the history of it if you want. Because originally it wasn't. The card game exists because of the manga.
The manga's completely different because they do different games for the manga. It's, like
well,
they
the
literally
first,
Duel Monsters is only like in the first like manga.
No, it's in a couple. Initially, it was all games. I've never read the manga, but I've watched a lot of videos on it. But the card game thing came in because card games were just starting to take off in popularity in Japan.
Thanks, Magic the Gathering. Exactly.
And the guy who created Yu-Gi-Oh! Overheard a story at a game shop about this entitled...
There it is!
This is the best episode!
But he's overhearing the story about a guy who was essentially Kaiba. Like, I won't duel anyone who has less than 50 cards, or whatever. And he was like, this is a good villain for my manga that I'm doing about games. Let me do a card game issue. That issue sold so well that they were like, Shonen Jump was like, we got to make this a card game. We got to turn this into something. Oh, and also, by the way, your little fun comic about games, it's just about a card game now. That's all you're allowed to write.
Yeah, pretty much.
Can I put some weird Egyptian stuff in there? I guess.
Yeah, whatever. Who cares? Love that. What a great conversation. I love that for you too.
I'm very sorry. I've been talking a lot, and then I just went right into a rant about Seto Kaiba.
No, it's okay.
Loved it. 10 out of 10.
This is what we wanted in the show. I basically anytime I could trigger you or Brie to rant about something, it's always my favorite moment. That's why I have you guys on the show.
Perfection.
Yeah.
Oy. So yeah, capitalism's awful. Go watch Yu-Gi-Oh! And don't be afraid to be autistic in public.
And if you want to add me on Duel Links, I don't remember my friend code right now, but I'll put it in the description.
Do I still have Duel Links on my phone? Yes, I did download Duel Links at one point.
Bree's like, these fucking losers.
I know. Honestly, when we hit the right hyperfixation for me, I will be the exact same way.
I was about to say, we have to poke and prod at Brie.
Good.
So yeah. I mean, that's all I have topic-wise. Brie, is there any hyperfixations that you want to try and prod at?
I don't. I did want to, there was another quote from that article I wanted to mention really quick. I think that'll just kind of tie that all together. So it was from the chief from the Arcane Leon. His name is Dinga Bakaba. I did look that up. But he was quoted saying, don't throw us into gold fever gambits. Don't use us as strawmen for miscalculations and blind spots. Don't make our work environments Darwinist jungles. You say we make you proud when we make a good game. Make us proud when times are tough. We know you can. We've seen it before. And I was like, no, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
So,
That's really well said.
it's happening all the time, more and more. So, I mean, it's probably going to keep happening.
No, what really sucks is somebody who's worked in like big corporate environments like that is literally like the feeling of just like they could literally just walk in today and just say, "Get the hell out."
Like
no matter how much value you try to put in, no matter how much work you try to put in, like no matter how important you think you are, they can walk in at any moment and just say, "Get the hell out."
Yeah, and I let that be a lesson to our viewers as well. Don't work hard. No one cares.
No.
You are so dispensable, more dispensable than you ever realize you are, until you get canned for no reason because some CEO really wanted their second summer home. So
Well, if you're worried about like, I want to pursue my dreams, but that's hard. Maybe I'll just get a job and I'll settle. You can fail at settling too. You can end up homeless taking the safe option.
Yes. 100%.
Also, whenever you have any ability to get leverage, take it. For example, in my current situation, if they decide to cut me loose, it's like, okay, cool. Your entire video studio comes with me. Because all that shit's mine.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're just like, oh, trying to get clients about all the video stuff we can do, it's just like, nope, all those microphones, all that backdrop, all those cameras, all that stuff back there, that's all pretty much my stuff, so it's coming with me.
Absolutely.
So have fun finding the next guy who has all the stuff that I had. Bye. But yeah, no, and absolutely. And like what Seth said, it's just like, dude, you can fail, not just in your career, but you can also fail at your own kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. The whole point is take risk, but like have it be mitigated. And like more or less, like at the end of the day, happiness ends up being worth more than money.
Yeah.
Like
Absolutely.
absolutely.
As someone
like,
who was homeless for a little while as a teenager, happiness is so much more important than money.
yeah, it's just it. Paying rent sucks.
Mhm.
Having to pay for food sucks. Capitalism sucks.
That's one of those bits of my backstory that I just said, and I realize I don't talk about that at all. That sounds like I made that up. I didn't. I'm not doing a joke.
Oh,
I don't assume you did by any means.
no, we're aware.
Every once in a while, I say something from my lore, and I'm like, that doesn't sound real. Hold on.
Yeah. But yeah, no, absolutely. Just so you know, like if you died today, they'll have your job posted up like literally in like, you know,
Evening, actually.
the same day.
Take your
Before
PTO.
you've even been wheeled out, you are still being zipped into the bag, and they're putting that posting up.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Ugh.
How do you guys feel about the Apple ad that came out this week, where they crushed the iPad, or they crushed all of the like art
emojis.
stuff? Yeah, it was like paint, guitars, a full studio setup, like 2 monitors, amps.
I heard about it. I didn't see it, so I don't really have an
didn't see it either.
opinion. But I knew it caused a bit of a ruckus in some circles.
Yeah, the whole ad is. Do you remember the like early '90s Game Boy ad for Pokemon?
Where they had all the
was
Pokemon,
picking
and they were like, yeah, they're all.
and they put it in the car
sucked in.
compactor.
Yeah.
And then when it opened up, there was a Game Boy there. It's
Yeah.
that ad. It's the exact same ad, except instead of Pokemon, it's a piano, a guitar, paints, makeup, anything that can be used to create art in a hydraulic press. The hydraulic press comes down, crushes everything, and then when it opens back up, you've got an iPad. It's the exact same fucking commercial, and incredibly tone deaf in a time when AI is like taking away artists' jobs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, that's definitely comes down to tone deafness, and that understanding is just like, look, when you're talking about creative endeavors, trying to make the idea that you can just compress it into one device is not kind of the thing. Like, Seth, you have more experience composing music than I do, but like, you know, I'm relatively musically inclined. I've been playing on different instruments. I can pick up most instruments and know how to play relatively okay, but I can't write music to save my life. But regardless, it's just like the experience of like composing something on an iPad or like actually playing your guitar.
Yeah.
Completely different experiences.
It is, and I've even recorded on iPad or what's it fucking called? It's
Mac.
right here. GarageBand.
Yeah.
GarageBand on iPad. I've recorded demos and stuff through that. It is so fucking difficult. It is so fucking frustrating to work on an iPad for anything that requires that kind of workflow.
Yeah. And like more or less just like, and I've had this opinion for a while, and it's the reason why like I feel like I have a hard time liking modern music or anything after like maybe like I want to say like 2014. It's just like everything sounds the same because everything has gone through a digital process and more or less going through like a recording and that kind of style.
You are
There's
dangerously close to triggering another special interest of mine.
Oh, trust me.
I gotta give you that warning right now.
Let's go. But like no, like, but that's the thing. It's just like, you know, trying to like, because I bought a bunch of audio equipment recently. Like I have my interface, you know, you see the microphones and stuff ahead of me. I was just like, it's like I've been thinking, it's like, hey, maybe I should start recording guitar stuff. And I was just like, oh, like maybe I should just look at amp emulators. It's just like it's not going to sound the same as actually being on an actual amp, bud.
Actually, amp emulators are doing very well now. But the cheaper ones will not sound as good as the actual amp.
No,
the real expensive ones that you're basically buying a real amp, those sound really good. But you have to learn how to program them.
Yeah, exactly. Which is why I'm just kind of like, so if I'm going to spend money, I just want a real amp.
Yeah, I have software that I record with. I use digital amps.
I know,
and I have a cheap one. It takes me forever to get something good out of this.
I actually have been meaning to ask you, since I'm updating a lot of my streaming stuff, if getting you to record music for me again for like stream stuff. But that could be a conversation for a different time.
This is an off-air conversation, but I kind of maybe wrote a theme song for this show.
Nice.
So it's real short, very pop punk influenced, and I don't know. I'm gonna try and demo it out and send it over to you guys at some point.
All right, so how do we trigger Brie now with one of her specials?
Well, Well, now that
like-
you want it, it's not gonna happen.
Exactly. That's the thing. I'm trying to think of how to do it organically, and it's one of those things. It's easier with Seth because me and Seth that overlap in like a little different areas.
Have you seen that video where the song is like Pedro, 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 and it's a raccoon dancing in a circle? As it
yes,
moves around the camera.
There we go.
Very cute. I love.
That's a great video.
Great video.
Well, that was my shot. I tried.
Raccoons.
It had everything. It had songs. It had raccoons. There's actually a raccoon that's actually now on the walking trail behind my place, and I have to be very careful to make sure that fox doesn't see him.
That's always fun.
He was walking on the trail one day, saw us, and then started climbing up a tree and just started staring at us from the tree.
So cute, sweet baby.
A little while ago, I was walking Bo, and a coyote ran past us.
Oh.
And it was just, it was winter, so it was like freshly snowed. And this little coyote is just bopping through the snow, goes running maybe 10 feet away from me and my dog, stops, looks at us, and then just keeps rolling around and bouncing, jumping off in the snow, playing. It was cute as shit.
Sounds so cute.
Alrighty. Alright, anything else we want to talk about today, guys?
I don't think so.
We talked about JoJo Siwa before show.
That's true.
Well, and we can kind of. It is interesting, Brie. You said something about like how we've learned not to pay attention to celebrities. I can't remember exactly how you worded it a few minutes ago, but it is very interesting how over the last like 15 years of social media, the importance of celebrity has like movie stars has kind of gone away. It still exists with some music artists and influencers, but people are really just realizing like, an artist is a person. I'm not going to idolize them.
I was about to say influencer culture, I think, is a very big part of that.
That's fair.
Well, did you guys see anything coverage about the Met Gala? Do you know about the Ice Cube purse?
Yeah. So
No.
fuck that.
Well, I think that's exactly, this might be my hyperfixation a little bit, but I'm just like, so I think it's hilarious that people think that, us regular people idolize rich people, when rich people carry around an ice cube that they paid 25 fucking grand for. And they're like, no, it's like a message. It's about like fleeting beauty and blah, blah, blah. I'm just like, you paid 25 grand to hold a fucking ice cube, you goddamn moron. Like, are you serious? Yeah. Like, I just like to think of what I would do if I had 25K. Not buy an ice cube.
It's ugly. It's just an ice cube with a rose in it and a metal chain.
Yeah.
That then the chain breaks off of while she's still walking down the thing. So she has to carry just a block of ice the entire night.
That's what I'm fucking saying. I think that's been part of it, especially like I'd want to say in like the last 4 or 5 years or so. I think that we've just realized that also celebrities are just fucking stupid. Like they're dumb fucking people. Like the opulence of it. I think again, especially with capitalism being the way it is, that all of us are suffering to such a degree. It's kind of hard to like watch things like the Met Gala and be like, oh wow, pretty dress. When it's like, I work all the fucking time. I'm never gonna retire. And again, people are buying ice cubes and carrying them around as purses. It's hard to idolize things like that.
And wasn't the theme of this year's Met Gala based on like some book that's very Mask of the Red Death-y, where it's like all the rich people lock themselves away while the rest of the world dies?
Literally, I forget what it's exactly based on, but it's based on a poem, if I'm not mistaken, and it's all about how like wealthy people hoard all of the resources and are just and would rather die and keep all that stuff for themselves or burn it to the ground than have poor people have what they have. And then to kind of encapsulate that, they have this fucking gala of these like opulent dresses and shit like that. I'm just like, what are we doing?
It's funny that you bring that up, because the only thing I saw from the Met Gala is that there was apparently a influencer / model who was there, and they have a video of her doing the Marie Antoinette, like let them eat cake, and everybody was like so upset about it. And my first reaction was like, I have no idea who the fuck this person is.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And like I recognized the name, no idea who she is.
like
She did apologize for it. She's like, I didn't even know. Like, oh,
Yeah,
I'm like
like,
that. I'm a poor person too.
going back to the
completely normal.
going back to the tone deafness of it all. But
Yeah.
it is one of those things where it's just like in celebrity culture right now, like I am so far removed from these people to the point where it's just like, aside from people who were maybe like famous when I was younger and are still kind of in the zeitgeist, like people throw out these names and these influencers, and I'm just like, I have no idea who these are. I know who Zendaya is, but
Yeah.
but like there's so many like there was
She was
something I
empty.
saw. Exactly. But there was some people who like there was like some TikToks that I saw. It's just like, you're the most followed and like watched people on TikTok. It's just like, I have absolutely zero idea who these people are, and I have never seen them in my feed in my life.
Yeah, I just
realize.
don't care. Like,
Yeah.
it's just, yeah. Well, and also like I like internet celebrity like is so flash in the pan, because like you think about the people who like I think, oh my god, I forgot what her name is, but she was famous for like doing like the cinnamon challenge, if you fucking remember that. And she's broke as fuck now. It's just like, that is so fleeting. So it's just like, I'm like, the fact that people act like celebrity, but actually that Haley Bailey person, which you might already know this, she rents an entire floor of her apartment complex. She pays $20,000 a month to rent that much space, and then she's like, "No, guys, I'm just like you." I'm like, "The fuck you are, bitch! Like, are you serious?" Oh, I just like, I think we're all over that kind of like, and like, I feel like there's always those questions like, oh, you know, what celebrity would you want to meet? I'm like, nobody. I don't want to meet fucking a goddamn person. They all suck. They're all out of touch. And I think it's happening more and more, especially obviously with the movement going on right now. But I think even more so. I think it's going to keep happening, and I kind of love it, to be honest.
Yeah. I do love how much people are coming together to block like so many celebrities right now. Have you seen that people who haven't been speaking about Palestine since the blocks have started posting videos about Palestine?
They sure have.
Gotta get some kind of brownie points somehow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh
And
shit, this is
nobody's
affecting me personally now? All right.
Yep.
Well, we're their income. I mean, I think it's a good point that like we are their income, and I didn't even realize this. I was watching this is another hyper fixation of mine, is like just the YouTube like docu-series where it's like 2 hours about a topic I don't care about, but I will sit there and watch the whole thing. One of the ones I watched recently was about the Kardashians and how fucking predatory they have always been. They purposely buy these companies that they know aren't good quality. They don't fucking care. They just want people, they make as much money as possible and then close the businesses down. So it's like, hey, maybe we don't idolize people like that who are actively taking advantage of you. They don't care about you, my dude. And so I'm glad they were like one of the first people to be on the blacklist, because they have so many fucking brands that are notably low quality and they don't fucking care. They don't give a fuck about you.
No, I knew people actually who tried to start clothing companies back in the day, and their entire marketing model was literally sending them free samples of their clothes, and just like maybe they'll wear something out when they get caught by paparazzi. And his thing is just like, so wait, are you actually putting any effort into like, you know, your designs, your materials, like making quality clothing, affordability? It's like, no, we're literally just trying to do as quick of a cash grab as we can. It's just
Absolutely.
like, it's like you're feeding into the problem.
100%. Oh, that's how MLMs operate as well. So it's all low quality, very shitty product. So, but they don't care.
I don't think that's how gay relationships work.
That's the kind of MLM.
I love that.
Pyramid schemes.
Yeah. Oh, right. The things that I've worked for before. Yeah.
I mean, we've all got suckered into one, or almost suckered into one at one point in our lives.
Yeah.
Probably.
Mine was high fiber internet, door to door. My life is just death of a salesman, isn't it?
Fun. I love that.
When I make your biopic, Seth, I'll be sure to be kind.
Okay. There you go.
Guys. So anything else depressing going on in this capitalist hellscape?
Everything all the time.
That's a big question, dude. There's a lot going on.
Why am I here?
Every day that gun just looks tastier and tastier.
I already made that joke this week to Emily. She's already worried about me.
We're doing our best, folks. That's all there is to it.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's getting us pretty close to the end of the show, so which means we need to assign the next round of homework, which is my turn.
Yeah.
So, I have 3 options. You both get a veto.
Okay.
Okay.
You only get to use it once, and if you guys both use your veto, the third one is the one that we have to do.
Okay.
Brie, I almost did that exact hand on the chin on the hands
like,
thing right
go
as you
on.
did it. I was like, I was having the thought, and then I saw you, and I was like, I can't do it now.
We're all the
Alright,
same
but what-
people, actually.
Alright, so the first option, specifically out of palate cleanser for myself, is Breath of the Wild.
Okay.
Because I know we all have Switches, and
Yeah.
at least that's reasonable. I don't know if
We
you
do
have
forget
it.
that, but
so-
yes.
I don't know. I know, Brie, you said that you had Breath of the Wild. I don't know if Seth has
I do.
it.
Mhm.
I don't have it, but I can find it.
Okay. You can probably find it at like GameStop or something for cheap as a physical one. So
Probably. Pick up a used something.
don't buy it on the store unless you absolutely have to.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna go and specifically get an SD card just for this.
Yeah.
It's gonna be like a terabyte.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm gonna spend the maximum amount of money on this homework assignment as possible.
All right. So if you're all good with Breath of the Wild,
I do want to hear your other options.
I would like to hear the other, yeah.
okay. So the other option was actually Star Wars: Knights of the Old Republic,
Okay.
which you can get on multiple platforms, including the Switch, and it's also on mobile and PC and basically everywhere. And it's like relatively affordable on most platforms, but it's also a game from 2003.
An oldie.
So quality of life may vary. And and then the last option was Letterkenny.
Oh.
Oh. I think given those options, I'm more into Breath of the Wild.
I'll go with Breath of the Wild for sure.
All right,
I maybe
that's
need
fair.
to play it. Might as well.
I was about to say, so Breath of the Wild it is. You guys do not have to beat it.
Oh yeah.
Literally
I won't.
just
And that's a guarantee.
I probably will, but that's just because I could basically play that game with my eyes closed now at this point.
Okay.
But yeah, so I think kind of one of the things that I want to talk about in regards to the game is specifically talking about open world design, specifically art direction and hardware capabilities, and more or less just like how much gaming has evolved without necessarily having to break the bank for the most part. And yeah, Seth, if you can't find a cheap copy at a local GameStop or anything, let me know and I can reimburse you.
Alright. It's no biggie.
I just don't
Thank
like
you.
people having. I just don't like people having to spend money off something I recommend.
That's fair. That's fair. But in total fairness, all 3 of the things that I've assigned, you guys had to pay for in some form or another.
That is true. That is true.
So you owe us money.
I'll be sending my enforcers later.
Oh, they're gonna take my thumbs. I need those.
You have to. You're fine.
It's like I have people in Albuquerque who are willing to drive up to your neighborhood.
That's
All right.
fair.
All right, so Breath of the Wild it is. Like I said, you guys don't have to beat it. Just get as far as you want to get, and then we can talk about it when we come back in a couple of weeks. Anyways, I am TCK Media Productions on most platforms. You have that Seth23, who you can find on TikTok while it's still a platform that we can be on. And then we have the Raccoonaloon herself, Brie, who you can find on Instagram and occasionally on Twitch. And by occasionally, I mean at some point,
Maybe.
sometime in the future. Maybe she'll stream Breath of the Wild. Probably not, but
It's
Probably not.
Schrodinger's streamer, right?
Yeah.
And she can simultaneously be streaming and not streaming until somebody views it.
I did try streaming Mass Effect on Twitch like earlier in the week, and then was just like, this is about as effective as me streaming on YouTube, so I went back to streaming on YouTube.
Fair.
Anyways, thanks so much, guys, and we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.